This program has been rated PG. Parental guidance is suggested. It will be presented in its entirety.
Stand by to receive our transmission.
Oh boy, do I love it when spring is cracking outside and summer's right around the corner. You know what a good harbinger of summer about to come up is we've had already one big summer movie coming out, but there's an Indiana Jones movie on the horizon. Put aside what you think it may or may not be, but the fact that the end of this month is the time, as we're on the air right now, the end of June, I think it's the 30th is the release date. There's a new Indiana Jones movie coming out, and that's, again, we can thank Jaws for that, the summer movies, and now it's just like we don't even think about it. It's like, oh, big movies come out in the summer, but for a long time, for a little while before 1975, that was not happening.
You know something we've witnessed though in our lifetime, besides the advent of the summer blockbuster, thanks to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, we now get blockbusters not only in the summer,
kind of
it
year
used to
round.
Be that's
in
the
a way.
only time,
yeah.
And then. I mean, think about it. When they really got underway and the experiment was working, we would get 2 or 3 films a year, and they couldn't all be in the summer.
And I think the Marvel movies were some of them for a while were leaning more toward coming out between like November and Christmas. A lot of them were in December. So, again, there's so many movies coming out now that you're right. I don't really know that there still is a summer movie
I think
season,
there's still a push.
But there's kind of year-round now. It really is. And I know they pick and choose. They're like, well, we got 3 blockbusters coming out in June. Let's wait and bring our movie out in November, or let's bring it out in February. Or
I do think that, like some of the studios, they know their tentpole movies. The summer is still the time to put them out. But some of the like Walt Disney, they own everything, right?
Oh yeah,
they can put a tentpole out anytime.
They don't own us, but I think they're in negotiations.
I heard it's underway. I heard the mouse doesn't like me making fun of him, and because we have the have the same birthday. He's like, we're only gonna have one birthday.
Alan, you keep talking about me, and I'm gonna take care of you.
Let's see how funny you are with a restraining order.
You didn't know that Goofy's a bounty hunter, did you? I'm gonna get you. Go on outside, Ellen. Yeah. Well, we joke, we find out. Hey, well, wait a minute. They own Boba Fett. They could just send him after you.
Right.
I mean,
there's a litany of characters they can send after us now.
There was a picture on Twitter saying, "Who's your favorite Disney princess?" And a lot of people were putting photos of, like, the Disney princess, like Sleeping Beauty and Belle from this, and what's the one, Little Mermaid, all these Disney princesses or whatever. And some people put Princess
Leia?
Shot of Carrie Fisher. They're like, wait, she's Star Wars. I'm like, she's owned by Disney. She's a Disney princess.
Isn't she a Disney
And
princess
some
now?
people put the Queen Alien from Alien because Disney owns 20th
They own
Century
Fox now.
too. So there's another princess. Well, she's a queen. She's not really
She's
a
a
princess.
queen.
She was a princess at one point before she started laying those alien eggs. So I don't know how we got started on this and morphed into alien eggs, but we do that. It's BK on the air here on AM
Welcome to the
1450,
format.
100.3 FM WBHF. Stream us online at WBHFradio.org or download the free Tunein or Radio Garden app. That's right. There's 2 apps you can listen to us on no matter where you are. I don't care. You could be on the dark side of the moon. Well, you don't have a signal there. You could be on the regular side of the moon.
The light side.
And have a signal. And you can. Who knew the moon had an evil side to it? I didn't know that.
The dark side is where the Empire is.
That's right. Got a base over there that they built. We got a lot coming up on the program today. We did talk about summer movies, and we did a story, I think, was it last episode or a couple of weeks ago, about how they've now officially came out, the Daily Jaws site, social media site that covers Jaws. Fantastic site on Twitter and Instagram and social media and Facebook. Just check them out there. And they said, yes, it's official. Several people have said Jaws is the ultimate blockbuster summer movie of all time because it was the first one. I'm like, yes, it certainly was. I don't believe, speaking of that, let me ask you this, since we're both big Jaws fans. We're Indiana Jones fans. We're Star Wars fans. If you listen to this show, you can tell what we're fans of and what we don't like, too. We'll really tell you what we don't like. But concerning Jaws, since Jaws was released, now don't worry about the sequels, Jaws 2, 3D, and Jaws the Revenge. Has there ever been another film about a menacing shark of some kind since Jaws that was worth your time to watch? Has there been one?
No.
I'm trying to think. Everybody's like, "Oh, Deep Blue Sea was Rennie Harlan." I'm like, no, that movie was terrible.
It was terrible.
I didn't mind it was a CGI Mako shark in it. That's not the problem I had. They're never ever going to use a practical Jaws shark effect again, probably. But the fact is, I was trying to think, they're like, well, the Meg was fun. I'm like, the Meg was about a giant prehistoric shark, and it was over the top, parody, stupid.
It was dumb.
It
and
was
must have
dumb.
made enough money somewhere because they're making a Meg
Yes.
too.
Yeah.
But no. Dumb.
We were thinking there really has not been another shark. And when I say shark movie, I mean like Jaws, where the shark is the pivotal part of the film. They've tried several times.
What's the movie about the girl that was
The Shallows with Blake Lively? That's Ryan Reynolds' wife, right?
It was okay. They had gotten better with the CGI effects, but
it was at best it was a 40-minute short film.
Right.
I mean, but it went on. It was way too long.
They only extended it to the 90 minutes with all of the texting and all of the like ridiculousness. I'm like, you're not even telling the story anymore.
And can I say this about texting in films? Would you please stop showing a character texting and then have the text pop up on the corner of the screen where I can read it?
You don't
because
like that?
I don't need that. If you can't relay someone getting a text in your screenwriting ability and have to show that over and over and over and all the time. A lot of TV shows do it too that my wife watches. Mm-hmm. That just annoys me when it's just constant. And you get
what about if you show the phone though? Like it cuts to the phone.
Show the phone. That's fine.
Okay. You just don't like the superimposed text
Don't leave it on there all the time. Gotcha. All the time. It's annoying to me. To me, again, it's a pet peeve of mine. It may not bother you.
What was the other movie that actually was pretty good? About the two people that were lost at sea and eventually
that was Open Water.
That
was based almost like
that
was almost like a Blair Witch Project shot with a video camera thing.
That wasn't horrible.
It was horrible. Again, it was too long. There's not an hour and a half of content there. There was a lot of buildup, and that was supposedly based on a true story, which is horrific if you think about it. My wife's a master scuba diver, and every time she says I can't watch that film, I just get horrors of thinking about that happening to a diver. But yeah, they weren't paying attention to be where they were supposed to be, and the diving boat just didn't, or the diving people were negligent and just left them there, and it was horrible, and they died at the end of that. Yeah, spoiler if you haven't seen it.
Yeah,
but yeah, again, that
wasn't the kind of movie
near
as Jaws.
Jaws,
right? Not even close.
Nowhere near. And I'm starting to think, will they ever make one that's as
well? Here's the thing,
maybe as entertaining as Jaws.
I think the closest you're going to get to that formula working was, and ironically from the same guy who brought us Jaws, was Jurassic Park. You couldn't do another shark movie, but when you think about it,
involving terrifying animals of some kind.
Because think about how good Jaws is. You could classify it as horrific at times. You're seeing people being eaten alive. It's swashbuckling. You're at sea with some really fun
adventure.
Music.
Yeah.
You think that some points the humans are going to beat the beast, and you feel excited.
Right.
It's got comedy at places. It's got drama in places, but. What is it? Is it an action, drama, comedy,
we said that.
horror?
We can't define Jaws as in the genre, like in the TV guide. What do you put? What
only
is it?
movie that comes close is Jurassic Park. There are horrific moments. There are scary moments. There's adventure moments. There's funny moments. That's the closest you
Joe
can get.
Dante tried with Piranha. That didn't work. I mean, we tried with every other. We tried Grizzly, the bear movie in 1976 after Jaws came out. It just Jaws on land. No, it didn't work out. I'm talking about shark movie, about a shark.
Yeah, I don't think
know
anybody.
If it's ever going to happen.
And that's why whenever they start talking about a remake, no, you don't have to.
Oh, I get a chill go up my spine when I hear about a remake of Jaws. It's BK on the air.
We will return after these messages.
This boy is running out of steam. Why did he run out of steam so soon? He didn't fuel up. With a good breakfast. Cheerio! Like this good, nutritious breakfast with toast, juice, milk, and yummy Cheerios, which has almost no sugar. When you fuel up in the morning with a Cheerios breakfast,
it'll really get you going.
Cheerio!
Hershey
Real milk chocolate, I love that Hershey bar.
Hershey
That's something special no matter where you are.
Anytime you want delicious chocolate, there's no need to go looking very far.
Hershey's great!
'Cause Hershey is the great American chocolate bar.
Never fear, Smith is here.
Greetings, fellow classic TV fans. It Takes a Thief aired from 1968 to 70. It starred Robert Wagner as Alexander Mundy, a suave and sophisticated thief who was given the opportunity to work for the U.S. government as a spy. The show was created and inspired by the 1955 Hitchcock film To Catch a Thief, which starred Cary Grant and Grace Kelly. The theme song, like a few others of this period, was composed by Dave Grusin and went on to become a Grammy Award-winning single. It Takes a Thief was also notable for featuring guest appearances of several high-profile celebrities, including series regular and megastar Fred Astaire, who played Mundy's influential father. Like so many other shows of its era, despite its popularity, It Takes a Thief was canceled after only 3 seasons due to low ratings. However, the show has taken on a TV classic status and has been praised for its witty dialogue, charismatic performances, and stylish visuals. This groundbreaking television series helped to define the popular spy genre and set the stage for future shows like Mission Impossible and The Man from U.N.C.L.E. Its thrilling espionage, humor, and style made it a hit with audiences and critics alike, and its influence can still be seen in modern television and films to this day. This is Pat McCormack with your Retro TV Trivia from the Golden Age of TV. Be sure to check out my Retro TV Radio podcast, available on most popular platforms. And now back to BK on the Air.
There's the aforementioned theme to It Takes a Thief that Pat McCormack was telling you about right there from the Golden Age of TV. Thank you, Pat, for that trip into the past and the Golden Age of TV. Talking about Robert Wagner, I know, Alan, that you just recently, not too long ago, started rewatching some of the Heart to Heart episodes with him.
Finished all of season 1.
Stephanie Powers.
Yes, Stephanie Powers,
his co-star. There's somebody who was the guy was all over television for a while. He was in It Takes a Thief. He went on to be in a television show called Switch with Eddie Albert, where he was a crook, and Eddie Albert was like a judge or a guy that sent him up to prison. But then they both, after he was out of prison, he met up with Eddie Albert, who was no longer a judge. And I think the premise of the show is they became part of a detective agency together and worked together because he was the crook, so he could think like a crook when looking for somebody, and Eddie Albert was the ex-judge, so he knew the law. So they came together and made a show called Switch.
Premise.
It was a good show. It came on with a coin, a big giant coin with both their faces on each side spinning around.
Two-Face.
And only one wasn't scarred. But yeah, it was called Switch. And then he went on to be in Heart to Heart, which was a huge ratings juggernaut.
I didn't realize how many seasons that went
successful.
on. And this was back when you would have 24 shows or 23 shows per season.
Was that a Sheldon Leonard show, Heart to Heart?
Yes, it was.
I couldn't remember. Yeah, I thought it was. And they had Max, the guy, their driver. Max, he had that voice, that the sidekick. He was their Alfred, like Batman's Alfred.
Whoa. Oh my God, I know his name, the actor. It's
I know who you're talking about, but I can't remember it either.
Yeah, Max.
But he had that voice. But then Robert Wagner kind of went on to parody himself, sort of, in films. And he was in Austin Powers.
Austin Powers.
Who was he? Who was he in Austin Powers? Was he number 2?
Number 2.
No, I'm number 2 with the patch on his.
Well, the thing I enjoyed watching, and I didn't realize this as a kid, all shows obviously evolve, especially if they become hits.
Oh, yeah.
Because sometimes they're still trying to figure out, well, where do we go with this?
Right. And sometimes first seasons are completely unrecognizable when you watch the show again. You're like, man, this is an early
I gotta tell you,
episode.
the first couple of episodes, I was like, I don't know if I can rewatch these. Like the first episode was super long. It was like a pilot movie, so it was 2 hours. It dragged. It had Roddy McDowell as the bad guy.
Right.
He was great.
And he's great, yeah.
I'm like, oh, you know how you talk about, we were talking about the shark movies? That there was an hour's worth of content you squeezed into a 2-hour pilot.
Really?
I was like, oh, God, come on.
Well, somebody liked it at the time because it was successful, I guess, in the ratings, yeah.
By the time I got to the middle and end of season 1,
they'd found their way.
I kind of figured out they were much better. And I was like, oh, here's the obligatory car chase. Here's now the obligatory fist fight.
Yeah, sure.
Like you start finding the formula. Every one of the episodes starts because when you binge it, and you go, well, it's 30 minutes in. We're about to have now. Sometimes they would have stage the car chase as golf carts, but it's still the chase.
Right.
Or on bicycles, it's still the chase. Like got to insert the chase scene.
no matter what vehicle they're on.
But
there's a chase scene.
It was a lot of fun to get through season 1.
Well,
because I like the murders they're trying to solve.
Yeah, you make a good point about the pacing, because back then you didn't binge shows.
Nope.
You watched a show. And you really watched it or whatever, because there wasn't many other distractions. You had commercial breaks where you could go use the bathroom or whatever and come back and watch the show. But then you waited a week before the next show came out, so you weren't just hit with one show after another, binging it. So watching it like that, maybe it wasn't perceived too much like that back then when people are watching it. Things are timed different, and the pacing is different now. And I think all shows and that shows and a lot of shows comparing the old shows to the new shows today. That's an interesting point.
The other thing I really was, and you probably did this with Dragnet when you went back and rewatched them all, the number of really well written stories that could have taken place today. Like
definitely.
You think, well, God, somebody thought of this 50 years ago, plot wise.
Right.
Like, well, because it's still rooted in what the inhumanity of man to man. Like, people want to kill others for insurance, so they want to try to hide the murder.
Right.
People are still doing that today.
Right, and some things that they'll say that was normal for the 60s or something, and you hear it today and you're like, wow, they've done that several times in today's society. I can recall an old I don't know if it's Dragnet or Gomer Pyle, when I think it was Sergeant Carter. They were out training somewhere, and some kids were off in the distance, like looking for relics or stuff like that near where they were training with their grenades and stuff out in a place, and kids weren't supposed to be there. And he's like, hey, you kids, get out of here. What are you doing? Get out of here. This is a military installation. You shouldn't even be here. Get in trouble. And the corporal that was with him, he goes, oh, Sarge, come on. He says, what do you think they're going to do? He says, well, this is a military place. They could find something, or grab something or steal something from us. You can never tell what they're going to do. He's like, what do you think they're going to do? Take a grenade and blow up their school? And I'm like, well, yeah, this is 1967 when they said that. Now, I don't know if anybody actually has done that.
Right.
But there's been a lot of things that has happened in the last 10 to 15 years that would have been unheard of in 1966.
Right.
Like that. So it was kind of chilling to hear that. Like, oh, wow, that's a nice mindset
you could imagine
to be in back then.
The audience there would have laughed like, you're right, nobody's going to do something stupid like that. And you watch it now today, you go, ooh, someone could do that.
Crazy. Yeah. Or I'm gonna put you in jail for breach of promise.
The other
you
thing,
promised to marry me and you didn't do it, so I'm gonna sue you. I'm like, you could do that back then? I didn't know that.
The other thing I find interesting, and I'm sure you do too, looking at older shows, is the style of filming. And you have to recognize, okay.
Well, yeah, you have to do that.
They're going to do that because that's the best they could do with television cameras and stuff. And they didn't have the kind of multi-million-dollar budgets for the streaming small screen.
Especially for television, back then.
So, sometimes you just have to accept it's going to be a little silly at times.
And if you can't do that, don't watch it, because you're going to be disappointed. And I feel a little sorry for folks that have that limitation on them, that can't watch something from an era where it's filmed, because they're like, Steve Austin is stuck and the bad guys have him trapped in the woods. Geez, he can't even just pull out his cell phone and call for help. I'm like, yeah, because he didn't have one.
It didn't exist.
He didn't even have cell service in his bionic arm. I mean, it'd been nice if he had a little thing he could click open his arm and have a telephone, and that would have been a good thing to add. But they didn't do that. But you had to realize it was a different time. Come on, people. If you can't enjoy a movie like King Kong because it's in black and white and it's an old-style stop-motion photography, special effects, if you can't enjoy it, I'm sorry. Believe me, kids, they're going to be making fun of your movies 40 years from now.
Yeah.
Because it's all going to come around
and
trust bite
me.
you.
I'll remind everybody, when I try to introduce my kids to Willow, having first seen Lord of the Rings,
right?
I'm like, if you like Lord of the Rings, this was the movie I saw that I thought was really fun in the movies. You'll like it. It's fun. And they started laughing at it, and then I started feeling like we should just turn this off now.
Because you're like embarrassed at that point.
Like, I'm sorry, kids.
I recommended this film to my kids.
And I've told you the line, when the two-headed little monster comes out and they have the fight with this monstrous dragon, and they go, why does it look like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer? Like,
you're like, because that's the same way they animated it.
Because it's stop-motion photography.
Why doesn't Yukon...
This looked really cool when I was your age.
The Yukon Cornelius is going to come out and defeat the, what was the Ebersisk dragon thing?
So you're right.
If you can't understand when the movie was made, then you don't need to do it. Then just watch new movies. Then what can I tell you? I don't know what to tell you. And then you don't have much of a choice either with some of the crap that comes out. Oh, you like new films? Well, I can point out some new ones that are big steaming piles of crap.
Oh, there's
too. I mean,
probably more of them than good ones.
Speaking of Willow, that was really. The problem I have with Willow is number one, the story was Star Wars all over again. It was the same exact story, just set in another era. But the Ibrasisk two-headed dragon thing, to me, that was kind of really the only dated effect in it. I mean, the little Daikini small guys, they were obviously blue screened onto the screen,
Right.
but they were still. I still accepted that they were tiny and they were there.
They did a
there wasn't
pretty
really
good
much
job.
anything else looked bad. In Willow.
The fight
score,
sequences were good. The score is
the score of
fantastic.
James Horner is great. Yeah, Ron Howard's direction always spot on.
It did do something though that, of course, we take for granted now, but nobody had ever done the morphing that they had in that
Right.
one scene where he's
Of,
trying to convert her back from the bird to the
old
human.
elderly queen lady. Yeah,
That had never been done before, and they didn't even know if it would work. And they purposely, Lucas pushed for that
Yep.
effect, which ushered in. When I saw that in the theater, I was like, "Holy crap! That's not stop frame animation."
right. They
That's-
actually morphed it.
And
back
think
then.
about it, they didn't have the ability to do the monsters, but they were
Right,
able to
right.
morph images to image and keep it moving.
Right.
I was blown away in the theater.
The other movie that'll blow you away about that a little bit is the first time I think they ever tried to do that. I think what was the first movie with a CGI like that? It was Young Sherlock Holmes.
Young Sherlock Holmes with the
where
stained
the
glass
stained
window.
glass night comes off.
They got him the Academy Award for visual effects in
And at
that
the
movie.
time, and even now, but see, I can watch it and go, that's still impressive because I know what year that came out and all the work. No telling how long it took them to do that. Back with
render
the
it
computers
all,
they
yeah.
had. But yeah, so if you can't enjoy old cinema, and by the way, last night was National Movie Night was last night, so
Yeah.
we had a good time. I watched Gremlins last night. Gremlins had its anniversary this past week, and I'm like, what can I watch on National Movie Night? I'll watch Gremlins and pop some popcorn. It was fun watching Gremlins. It's BK on there. When we come back, we'll flash the audience of the news, the weird, the strange, and the bizarre.
This is my boss, Jonathan Hart, a self-made millionaire. He's quite a guy. This is Mrs. H. She's gorgeous. She's one lady who knows how to take care of herself. By the way, my name is Max. I take care of both of them, which ain't easy. Because when they met, it was murder.
Oh no, it's time to feed the cats. Get out of here.
What's so bad about feeding Reginald?
The smell, the mess.
Yeah, and the cost, especially of those small cans.
Listen, you guys. Now we've got tender victuals. No smell, no mess, and it costs a lot less than those small cans.
But will Reginald eat it?
Look, he loves tender victuals. It's so moist and delicious. No smell, no mess.
And no cans.
Tender victuals, no cans, no mess, and cost a lot less.
Circles, swirls, and curlicues, and clouds of color we...
Spirograph, the miracle drawing set that lets you make a million marvelous designs, now introduces Super Spirograph. Bigger, more exciting, with a new assortment of snap-together pieces that let you make bigger, more fantastic designs than ever before.
Dream designs, they can be mine.
With new Super Spirograph,
We now return to our program.
Hey, we're back. It's BK on the air here. I'm your retro radio rocket man right here on AM 1450 and 100.3 FM WBHF. It's good to hear that AM radio is not dead and got another, I don't think it was going to be dead anyway with what was going on with what was it, Ford not wanting to put AM tuners in their new vehicles or whatnot. Who listens to AM radio anymore? You'd be surprised. You really would do. And we talked that to death. I know we
need to do a shout-out to our station manager because he was actually interviewed by Bob Houghton of the Georgia Association of Broadcasters.
Matt Santini, yeah, that's right.
And as a part of the push by all of these broadcasters to convince our government and these car makers that AM still serves a purpose. You may not think about it, but when the emergency happens, when the local emergency, whether it's a tornado, a fire, a flood, most people tune to their local radio. You can't wait for the podcast version of the news to come out. You want it now.
And I know that they can tune into AM or FM. I mean, there's an FM signal too, but still, the fact that they're both there to listen to.
But there's a lot of places in the country that have small stations in the middle of nowhere that are only AM.
Only AM still, that's right. We were only AM until just a scant few years ago. Yeah,
7-8 years ago, we bought a and it's a translator, so it's really we had to wait for a signal to become available to even use. Because it's so regulated.
But thank goodness for that. That was great to hear that happening, and I'm very happy for that because, hey, we got a vested interest. I know. We're in radio, so we're going to say that. But you know what? I said it before. If I wasn't in radio, I would still support that. I still think it needs to be there.
100%.
I mean, come on. Well, it's time that we flash the audience of the news, the weird, the strange, and the bizarre. I need to put on my readers here so I can read this thing here. I don't want to wear them all the time because people see me in here and like, why is he wearing them glasses? Why is Grandpa wearing them glasses all the time on the television?
He doesn't sound that old.
Yeah. Listen, you should hear me when someone cuts me off on the interstate. I turn into the oldest man you ever heard. This is from Fox News. South Carolina man David Joseph D'Alessandro, 25, was arrested following the reported incident at a Quick Stop convenience store in the small town of Sharon. It was located about 45 miles southwest of Charlotte, according to the York County Sheriff's Office. D'Alessandro is accused of walking into the store around 5:45 p.m. this past Tuesday, wearing a mask. I don't know if it was COVID-related, but he had a mask on. A wig. That's not COVID-related. Hoodie, sweatshirt, and carrying a spray-painted Nintendo game pistol, the sheriff's office said.
Was this the duck hunt pistol?
The suspect showed the clerk the fake gun in the waistband of his pants and then demanded money from the cash register, they said. Roughly $300 was taken from the register. D'Alessandro was located in a Dollar General store parking lot down the street with the duck hunt pistol in his pants, authorities says. He was arrested and booked into the York County Detention Center. Now, if you don't remember Duck Hunt, by the way, because it was a video game back on NES.
Didn't it come
Super
with
Nintendo.
the original NES? Like that was one of the included games?
I think it did was one of the original. It was released in the 1980s for the Nintendo Entertainment System and involves shooting virtual ducks that the player's faithful dog flushes out, according to the Nintendo's fandom website. Players used the game pistol called an NES Zapper. It actually had a name to point at the television set and shoot targets in the game. Yeah, so there it is. A little duck hunting for you there on Super NES. By the way,
great.
You and I love dogs, and I love dogs, but I have never in my life wanted to take a Super Nintendo Zapper gun and shoot a dog in a game when you would miss in the game and he'd come up and laugh at you. I just wanted to smack him with the gun. It's like just a little shot, in the tail or something like that.
Stupid dog.
I hated that. So. But the duck hunt was fun. I mean, it was frustrating, but it was very fun. So there you go. He thought he could rob a place with a Nintendo Zapper.
Well, he did.
Well, he did, yeah, because they didn't know. And who could tell if it's in his waistband? I guess they just saw the handle or the grip or whatever.
Yeah, we're getting to the point where you don't want to take a chance.
Nope.
All right, I've got the next news.
I've never been hit by a Nintendo Zapper. It might hurt. It'll shock me or something.
We tried shooting each other.
I don't know.
It doesn't do anything.
Okay, good.
I even looked down the barrel and squeezed the trigger.
I'm glad you did that.
All right, website Hotels.com revealed the most unusual room service requests at its associated accommodations, including requests for, these are from funny people who may have had one or two beverages beforehand.
Maybe one or two, yeah.
Hey, can y'all set up some diet water?
Diet water.
Or the other one.
The missus and I were looking for some melted ice cream. You think you might be able to bring some of that up?
Melted ice cream.
Hotels.com said its inaugural room service report, which analyzed room service trends at hotels listed on the website, uncovered several bizarre requests placed by hotel guests. Bizarre. The site said the weirdest ones reported by hotel staff members included diet water, melted ice cream. Could you bring me some blowfish? I don't even know what this is. I'm going to read it exactly as printed.
Okay.
Cockle popcorn.
A what?
Okay, I don't know what that is either.
I have no idea. An omelet without egg. Sorry, an omelet without egg whites.
Okay.
A rice bowl for our dog. Bison meat and boiled bottled water.
Mixed together or just together?
I'm going to guess what they meant is, I don't want tap water. Can you get bottled water and boil it and bring me it?
And when someone has too much and is inebriated, I don't want to know what they want melted ice cream for.
I don't know.
You know what I'm saying?
This is like the pranks we used to pull on like recruits.
Yeah, but these guys are serious.
Right.
Yeah, this is a prank thing.
We would tell people in the Navy, like, hey, can you go on down to the PX and look for 50 yards of shoreline?
Okay.
Oh, okay. I'm here to pick up some shoreline.
I'm a seaman first class. I'll go do whatever you want.
Sounds like real. Or like the junior mechanic saying, "Oh, you know what? You're probably low on blinker fluid."
Blinker fluid.
Is that why it's out? My turn signal wasn't working. Well, did you check your blinker fluid? The things with and people who don't know better were like, "I need to go get some blinker fluid." Send them to the store, and they just laugh at you.
That's funny. They're so scared, though. They're in the military. I'm like, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Whatever you say. They're so paranoid.
One guest requested the cook or the hotel cook to serve a fish the visitor brought with them. Hey, I got me a fresh caught fish. Can I get you to cook this up for me?
What is that? That's not a fish.
Another asked for egg-free shakshuka, an egg dish, heavy egg dish, also known as eggs in hell.
Okay.
Hotels.com said his report
so
also
funny.
looked at some of the more unusual room service offerings hotels listed on their website. Some of those included the Millstone, or I guess maybe it's the Milestone Hotel in London, offers in-room concerts for members of the Royal Philharmonic. The Post Oak Hotel in Houston offers a $1,600 burger that comes with a 24-karat gold brioche bun.
I've heard about that one.
And the Plaza Hotel in New York City offers a Home Alone Sundae, a $300 Home Alone 2 Lost in New York inspired sundae with 16 scoops of ice cream and several layers of toppings.
I've heard the Millstone is a milestone hotel, by the way. Either way you want to put it, that's fine. Got the next news.
Do you? Take your mockery somewhere else.
From UPI. It was a scene straight out of a hit film Across the Spider-Verse when 685 people gathered at a mall in Malaysia while dressed as various incarnations of our favorite web slinger, Spider-Man. That's right. The event, organized by Sony Pictures Malaysia and AEON Mall, saw 685 people show up in the shopping center while dressed in the costumes sported by various versions of the Marvel hero, including Peter Parker, Miles Morales, Miguel O'Hara, and Gwen Stacy. Those are all the people that have been some form or fashion of Spider-Man over the years. A Guinness World Record judge was presented at the mall to verify the count and ensure that each participant spend at least, and this is what they do, you got to spend at least 5 minutes in the designated area for it to count. We were involved in a Star Trek costume thing many years ago at Dragon Con, like thousands of us piled into one room at one of the hotels, and like, okay, you have to hold this for 5 minutes. If anybody leaves, just close the door. You can't leave for 5 minutes for it to be official. The judge presented a certificate to the organizers after confirming the total was more than 601 people who donned the Spider-Man suits in an event held in India in December of 2021. So that's the one that they beat. So there you go, some Spider-Man fans in Malaysia. Isn't it great that it's true? The Marvel superheroes and superheroes in general transcend the globe wherever they are. There's Spider-Man fans in the middle of Malaysia or in the jungles and wherever you go. It's BK on the air.
If I can only get unstuck, I'll be swinging at one of my most fearsome foes next week.
We'll return after these messages.
My Tupperware lady has the freshest ideas, like all sorts of sizes and other surprises. My Tupperware lady has the freshest ideas for locking in freshness.
Go to a Tupperware party and see whole bunches of convenient ways to store and serve food. And more delicious colors. Go to a party soon.
Your Tupperware lady has the freshest ideas for locking in freshness.
The world looks mighty good to me, 'cause Tootsie Rolls are all I see. Whatever it is I think
tape will self-destruct in 5 seconds.
Hey, we're back. It's BK on the air. I do find it interesting that what is the killing curse in Harry Potter? How do you say it?
Avada Kedavra.
I find it funny that it's so close to abracadabra.
I think
because that's the old magician's thing for when you're an old magician.
Avada Kedavra.
I want to reach out and grab you.
I want to reach out and grab you.
So yeah, it is pretty close. So did that, and I guess it was on purpose. Well,
a lot of the stuff in the J.K. Rowling universe was borrowed from things.
It's on quite a lot in my household.
You know what's funny? If you've not seen the comedian who says the whole Harry Potter world is really just Star Wars retold. And you're like, wait a minute, how is it Star Wars?
I haven't seen that.
You listen to this guy monologue for like 9 seconds, you're like, oh my God, it's Star Wars.
Kind of is.
An orphan kid left with his aunt and uncle who want nothing to do with the world from which he comes from, have to raise him pretending that world doesn't exist, only to find a bearded stranger suddenly comes along to give him tutelage about what he needs to learn about the world that he actually comes from.
And tries to wield a little weapon in his hand
he ends
to
up
use.
becoming good friends with both a boy and a girl, and although there's some weird sexual tension, one turns out to be more like a sister than a friend, and the other friend wants to be involved with the sister.
That's right.
Yes. Holy crap!
It is.
It's Star Wars.
So's Willow. Willow is too.
Like at one point, they'll have a big furry oaf who has a giant who will guide them through various areas.
Right.
We did have one extra news that we want to go ahead and get to.
I'm sure if we look deeper, we'll find. And John Williams does the music to it.
John Williams
There you
does
go.
the
There's
score.
the cherry on top right there.
An 18-foot-long crocodile. My goodness, that's a big croc.
That's a big one. That's a croc.
That's a load of croc. No, it's a big croc. It's an
yeah.
18-foot crocodile known as the largest in the world, is celebrating what the Australian caretakers believe is his 120th birthday. The Guinness World Record holding crocodile named Cassius was captured in the Phineas River in the La Belle Station area of Australia's Northern Territory back in 1984. Cassius was captured by a team of scientists after being blamed for a string of cattle deaths in the area. Wow. The crocodile now lives at Marineland Crocodile Park on Green Island in the Great Barrier Reef in Queensland. Toddy Scott, whose grandfather, George Craig, purchased Cassius and brought him to Green Island in 1987, said researchers estimate the crocodile is about 120 years old. He still has a lot of spark in him, Scott says. Cassius is always up for some interaction. Yeah, at 18 feet, he's probably up to try to figure out how to make you his next meal.
I certainly hope that when I reach, I know I'm not going to reach 120. I like to think that I am. I like to think I'm going to probably be the first person that's going to be the oldest human being on the planet. I got hopes. It'd be nice to think that, but I don't think it's going to happen. But if I live to be just really old, let's say I crack 90, 95, maybe even reach 100, I'd love for somebody to say that about me too. He still has a lot of spark in him. BK is always up for some interaction. That's what I hope they say about me too.
That would be a good thing to say.
That would really be nice because I don't know how long. Who knows how long anybody's going to live? I don't know how long I'm going to be here.
That's why I don't dwell on it. Because if I do, I start panicking myself.
But they are. They are. I look at crocodiles. I look at alligators. I look at the big monitor lizards. The ones that get really big and they won't.
How about the Komodo dragons?
Yeah, their bite won't bite your arm off, but the bite's so poisonous that in their saliva, the poison will kill you where they can just chase you down and eat you after they do bite you. Those creatures, even a rhinoceros, those are our modern-day dinosaurs. We still have them. They look like dinosaurs. Because look at a rhino's head and the horn he's got, and he just looks like one of those veggie-eating dinosaurs back in the day. Like he looks like he's not a triceratops; he's a monoceratops. Right. He's just got one horn. So they even look like when you look at the triceratops, the practical effect of the one they had in Jurassic Park, the first one that's sitting there that's sick and he's breathing, and they built the practical effect for that shot, which looked great. By the way,
still looks fantastic.
His feet kind of look like elephant feet. And we do have our modern day dinosaurs. We really do. And a lot of the birds, ostriches. Some of these big birds, the emus, a lot of birds we're related to. They say
we know how they say
dinosaurs.
A lot of the smaller, like the raptor-like species, evolved into our modern birds. When you look at, I've been recently looking at, I'm just going to say for sake of argument, chickens.
Yeah.
And I start looking at the way that they move their heads and everything. Oh my God, they're just like the raptors.
And the ostriches, they all do that.
I'm going to find out how to peck and kill you.
And they probably use that as a guide in the special effects for them to make them move around and look that way.
It's amazing to look at.
It's funny we should bring that up because last night I had heard, and this was totally just impromptu last night. I got on YouTube and I thought, I started thinking about, I read an article about Phil Tippett, the stop motion the god of stop motion. Well, let's say he's the secondary god. Ray Harryhausen was the first one, and then Phil Tippett took on that mantle, and so did Chris Wallace in a way for Gremlins. But you watch it, and all the work that Phil Tippett has done, like the Empire Strikes Back Snow Walker scene, the little chessboard in Star Wars that Chewie's playing, all the stuff, and all those guys, were big admirers of Ray Harryhausen and the old Sinbad movies and King Kong and stuff. Well, I remember seeing someone told me that Phil Tippett, and there was a reel, and if I'd seen it, it had been a long time. I maybe had watched a special effects special about it, or it was on one of the making ofs. But they did do stop motion tests for Jurassic Park, and they're on YouTube. You can see them. There's the raptors that come into the room, the kitchen, chasing the kids around in the kitchen. They did a stop motion one of it, and then someone took it and actually split screened it with what was actually in the movie. And the scenes are the exact same. That they set them up the exact same way. They moved around. They jumped up on the top of that metal table in the stop motion version they did. And I will say this, the stop motion version of it, of course the CGI wound up looking so much more realistic and better. That's why they went with it. It was a groundbreaking decision, and they never looked back after that. But watching the stop motion, like, well, if that hadn't happened, this is what we would have seen. It still looked pretty darn good because it got so fluid in the way they could do it much better than maybe some stuff they'd done in the past. Because Phil Tippett did RoboCop 2 as well, the big giant RoboCop in RoboCop 2. It got so much better at it that it still, I think, would have been a successful movie. Probably.
The crazy thing is he pioneered what they now called go motion instead of stop motion.
Yep.
And that's when they kind of artificially added motion blur, which is right. The reason why stop motion looks a little weird is because every scene is perfect. It's a perfect
so clear.
picture.
Yeah.
And so it looks weird to our eyes.
Right.
Whereas when we see film, there's blur between scenes, but it's just going by so fast. So he helped pioneer go motion technology, which is why it looked so good. And that's exactly how Spielberg was going to film it.
They shot themselves in the foot a little bit by wanting it to look so perfect that it wound up looking fake. Right. They're like, put a little distortion in this because it'll look.
Well, the cool thing, and I think you had to do this, and ironically, that's what I love about Phil Tippett and Dennis Muir and all these people thinking, well, we're out of a business. You turned out that, well, the computer can do a lot, but someone still needs to tell the computer what it's supposed to look like.
Right.
And so they used all those stop-motion tests as really visual storyboards.
They did. That's why the scene is set up the exact same way.
We don't need to redo it. We blocked it out how it should look. So just make it look like this. And then they built the models because they didn't know how to put data into the computer.
That's what I was about to say. They still have to build a 3D model you can look at.
Well, they don't now anymore, but at least
they did for a long time. Yeah,
and they were because these programmers, they were not artists.
No.
Like they created the program that made it look so amazing.
They were just
but
numbers.
Someone need to say, well, we studied how the animal should move.
Right.
And so they actually built literally a robot, a little mechanical thing where they could pose it, send the data of where it's posed to the computer. The computer would say, oh, this is where the arm moved a little bit. This is where the tail moved a little bit. So that's why that movement looks so good, because technically it was programmed by the Go Motion artists. It was just fed into a computer.
I thought it was fascinating to see that stop motion footage made for Jurassic Park. It's actually fun to see.
Now, I do know that they also went after them for the one thing that they chose to take out, because he had a little snake tongue.
Right, I saw that too. Yeah,
and
which was kind of creepy, but it looked a little comical.
The experts that they brought in that are dinosaurs didn't have snake tongue. They didn't. No, that looks dumb, and so they got rid of that.
And also in 78, you can also log on to YouTube and look for this too. Look for the 78 footage of the CGI test that these guys did. These guys went on to do The Last Starfighter and Tron. Some of the people I think did the special effects for those films, because every spaceship in The Last Starfighter, the movie, that's based on the kid that finds the video game and then gets taken into space, which is a great movie, by the way. All the space footage in it was computer generated in that for 1985. And they did an effects reel for George Lucas in 1978 with X-Wing fighters. There's shots of them flying around. They're in formation and doing stuff, and they're kind of in a stuck loop, where they wrote a program where they only move a certain way. And they submitted it to him after Star Wars had came out in 1978. It's on YouTube. And it's interesting to see it, because you look at it and you're like, it looks a little Last Starfighter-ish, but not as good, because it would be a few years before they did The Last Starfighter and it looked better. And now it looks even better than that. But it was cool, because someone said Lucas told him, goes, that's nice. You're not quite there yet. I like it, but keep working at it. And look what happened.
Well, I mean, for me, the first movie that was truly digital CGI was Tron.
Yeah, a lot of it was live action. Yeah, you're right. But they added the tanks and all that stuff, the light cycles. Yeah, that was all
crazy
computer.
Think about how far we've come. What's crazy about Tron because they didn't have the ability to match things yet. So they would just
Right.
put out a scene.
That's right. We
and
said
they
it.
didn't have storage. They would render
Right.
a scene, and then they'd have to clear everything for the next scene. And then by the time the director would look at it, they go, it doesn't match. They'd have to redo it from scratch.
Or he's
They
like-
couldn't just go back
or
in and
he's
make
like,
a change.
I don't like how the light cycles moved here. Let's change them to this. And he's like, we have to redo the whole thing.
They have to re-render everything
And
from
even
scratch.
then, the computers took up a building. You know,
Right,
It's like these
right.
gigantic
And no
things.
storage. Like, God,
Yes.
it's such a big file. We don't have a place to store it.
Think about this: special effects in the 30s, King Kong, Wizard of Oz. Then you got special effects in the 50s that came along with it, and the 30s and the later 30s and 50s were more makeup stuff like Frankenstein, the Wolfman, and stuff
but
like
Lon
that.
Chaney started that a
And
while
then-
ago.
yeah, that's another type of effects. But effects in the 50s got more into. They started experimenting with projection screens for spaceships and stuff at that point. And some of them were on strings and just shot with miniatures. And then we moved into the 60s, and we had Star Trek. We had blue screen. The Enterprise shot with blue screen and adding phaser effects with animation and stuff. And then 70s, we before Star Wars, we had some. There were some. Contrary to popular belief, there were sci-fi movies in the 70s before Star Wars.
Really?
There was Logan's Run. There was Silent Running. There was Planet of the Apes. Some of those, they had effects too. Star Wars came in and ground broke a lot of things. Then you got into the 80s. ILM started getting massive and doing all
exploded.
those things and were great. Then you had Jurassic Park, which blew everyone's socks off at that point and changed it again. We've already seen hints of the deep fake things now. That's the next big thing.
I think that's the next big
is
thing.
making things. What is going to be the next big special effects
It's going to
breakthrough?
be, I think, a 100% AI directed, or not AI directed, but AI created. A human director will tell the computer, here's what the scene should look like.
And it should star so-and-so who's been dead for 20 years or something like that. That's coming. If the
Could
estate,
put a lot of people out of work.
If the estate will agree to it, to let that person's likeness be used, I guess, whoever owns the likeness of it. It's BK on there. We like to speculate the future, but you know what? I'm wrong a lot about stuff that happened. I used to be pretty good at it, but I don't know what's going to happen anymore. It's BK on there.
And now these messages.
Hello, I'm Vincent Price. For many years now, mankind and his offspring have been searching for an alternative to peanut butter and jelly. After employing the latest methods in technology, the Peter Paul Candy Company has found the alternative to peanut butter and jelly. Peanut butter with no jelly. Pure, creamy peanut butter dotted with Crispies, covered with pure milk chocolate, but no jelly. I'm sure you're as pleased as I am.
Blip is the digital game that you can take with you anywhere. With the batteries you supply, the light-emitting diode zips across the screen. You try to press the right button to send it back. An automatic readout keeps score. 2 people or only one can play. When you play with Blip, you get carried away. And so does Blip. Blip, the digital game from Tomy.
Stand by to receive our transmission.
Hey, we're back. It's BK on the air here, having a good time off the air as well as on the air. I do want to remind you that October the 3rd, 2023, this year, a new book is coming out. I actually saw it on his Twitter page. He released the story about it. I think that's when it's coming out. It's a book, and I'm going to give you the title. You tell me who you think it is. I mean, it's going to be easy to tell who it is. The title is Making It So, a Memoir.
It's going to have to be Jean-Luc Picard.
That is Patrick Stewart's new book coming out. It's already ready for pre-order on Amazon. It says, from the acclaimed stage triumphs to his legendary on-screen work as the Star Trek and X-Men franchises, I keep forgetting he's a Sir Patrick Stewart has captivated audiences around the world and across multiple generations, and his indelible command of stage and screen. Now he presents his long-awaited memoir, Make It So. A revealing portrait of an artist whose astonishing life from his humble beginnings in Yorkshire, England, to the heights of Hollywood and worldwide acclaim prove a story as exuberant, definitive, and enduring as the author himself. So there you go. We get to read about Patrick Stewart's life, because I don't know a lot about Patrick Stewart in his personal life. I know about his professional life from the roles he's been in, but looks like you can get it hardcover on Amazon for $31.50, Kindle $16.99, audio CD for why is that? Oh man, the audio you can still order an audio CD. Wow, for almost $50, $44.99. So there you go.
You know, the first time, and I didn't know who it was. I had no idea because I was a kid and didn't know his background. But the first time I ever saw Patrick Stewart, and he looks exactly like he does for Captain Jean-Luc Picard, was in the movie Dune.
Yes, he played
Gurney
Halleck. Yep, that taught Paul how to fight and stuff
And I'm
like that.
like,
Yeah.
has that guy ever had hair?
No, well, I think he has, but he gave it up a long time ago. I remember seeing
But he's
him
got
in
the same look as Jean-Luc
There was a
Picard.
British show that PBS used to show that was shot on video called I, Claudius. Do you remember that show?
Mm-mm.
It was about I, Claudius. It was that show about back in the Caesar times or whatever. And you watch it, and you're like, Patrick Stewart was on it, Brian Blessed was on it, everybody that was somebody back then. John Hurt was on it back before.
It
they
was
were
a
superstar.
BBC thing,
It was a
I'm assuming
BBC
so.
show shown here on PBS, and I saw him then. But back then, I'm like, well, that's the first time I saw him, but I didn't know who he was.
Right.
It's like it's the first time you recognize someone's being
Mm-hmm.
it. But Dune. Life Force, a horror film directed by Tobe Hooper about space vampires. That was one of the earliest things I saw him in. And he plays Leon DeGrance in Excalibur. Patrick Stewart does too. He's in Excalibur.
Is he really?
Yeah, he plays the guy whose castle is being attacked by an enemy, and Arthur shows up to help, but hasn't been christened a knight yet. So yeah, he has a prominent part in
I'm going to have to rewatch it.
He's one of the
I haven't
Knights
seen
of the
it in a
Round
long
Table,
time.
and so is Liam Neeson. Is in Excalibur as one of the Knights of the Round Table. Yeah.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. What?
Liam Neeson is in Excalibur as well. You need to watch Excalibur again. It's such a great movie. You need to see it.
So
They're both in
I've
it.
seen all of these famous people multiple times when they were really nobody yet.
Yep.
And because I haven't seen Excalibur in about 20 years, I have no recollection of any of these people.
Yeah, and they both
I
have,
only know him.
And it's just not
and Merlin.
cameos. They both have prominent roles in it. Him and Liam Neeson have prominent roles in that movie.
I have to rewatch
I
it.
think it's interesting how movies will come out and it has people in it, and when you watch them, you're like, oh, those two people were the star of the film. But they went nowhere. But these guys went everywhere later in their career.
Right.
It's so weird how that happens. But I'll have to show you a clip of them at the next break. Liam Neeson. Yeah, he plays kind of a traitor in Excalibur in a way.
To say mind blown is an
I
understatement.
thought you were joking when
No.
you said you don't remember him being in it.
No, I remember the dude that played Merlin, and I love the way he played
Nicole
Merlin.
Williamson, who played a great Hamlet, by the way, one of the best Hamlet films I've ever seen
And
was him.
obviously this newcomer who played King Arthur.
Nigel Terry, yeah.
That was
Helen Mirren is in Excalibur. She plays his sister, Morgana. That's Helen Mirren.
Oh.
Dude, you need to watch Excalibur again. You really need to see, and watch
I
the
want
good
to watch
copy
it again
of it.
because, and I know you
Watch the
disagree
good-
with me, but I thought it just ended, and I hated
There's
how it ended.
nothing you can say that will make me not think Excalibur's perfect. I think it's perfect. I think it shows the progression of time perfectly with him aging and stuff. But it does end because when he dies, that's it. It's over.
It's like,
that's how the book is.
But for
ends.
me, it's like he ends up finding out that he's gotten his sister pregnant. Then the next thing
Right.
you know, here's the grown kid, and the next thing you know, they're
Right.
stabbing each other in the
but there-
field.
But there's this passage of time there if you watch. There
In
is a
5
passage
minutes
of time.
of
yes,
screen time.
But you see it though, because there's a way that
it felt like they
explain
go,
it.
"We're out of money. We spent so
That's
much with
not
everything
true.
else."
Stop that! I love that movie. Stop that.
We just got to get to
Well,
the end.
Let's do a little on this day in history, but you got to watch it again now. since
I
you
am going to
gotta see
watch
those
it
people
just
in
for
it.
that reason. I loved it when I was a kid.
On this day in history, June the 10th is today. On this day in history, 1966, the Mamas and the Papas win gold record for Monday Monday. I'm sure everyone's familiar with that song. And 1972, this song came out and was the biggest hit of this person's career.
Who can take a sunrise? Sprinkle it with you.
I'm always instantly transported back into being a kid when that song starts up. I mean, it doesn't matter. I could hear it when I'm 90 years old, if I make it to 90. But if I hear that, I'll think, Willy Wonka, being a kid again, because I loved. He doesn't sing it in the movie, but
No, it's somebody else.
He made it very popular.
Mhm.
It went to number one and was the biggest hit Sammy Davis Jr. ever had. And he had a lot of hits and radio plays. and stuff.
That comes from that time, and I talked about this with somebody not that long ago, where you were like the triple or quadruple threat. He could sing, he
yeah.
could dance, he could do comedy,
Since
he
he
could
was
act.
a kid.
Like, he could do everything.
Since he was a kid, exactly. 1977 on this day in history. Apple Computer ships its first Apple II computers on this day in history. Apple II shipped for the first
Apple
time.
II.
Today in history, 1982, American TV sitcom Taxi last airs on ABC, canceled after 4 seasons and 15 Emmy Award wins, moves to NBC from ABC in the fall and airing for 1 season, and wins 3 more Emmys. Wow, what does it take to show people that was a great show? And you cancel it. I thought Taxi was so funny.
Mm-hmm.
And, we got another on this day in history, which is a movie premiere, and it's 30 years old today.
Bond hits an all-time high. Roger Moore is Ian Fleming's James Bond 007 in Octopussy. Roger Moore in his newest and most thrilling of the James Bond adventures, filling the screen with excitement in the tradition of the great James Bond films. Octopussy has everything: elegant palaces and beautiful women.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Name's Bond. I believe you have a reservation for me.
We've been expecting you, sir.
I'm Octopussy, and you are James Bond, 007 licensed to kill. Am I to be your target for tonight?
That's right. Octopussy, it's its 30th anniversary, 1983, believe it or not. And I remember seeing it in the theater. I think it was the first James Bond movie I saw in the theater.
It wasn't Live and Let Die?
No, I saw that, but I don't remember it.
Was that at the drive-in? That was the drive-in.
Yeah. Speaking of there, we're going to take a break. We'll do the rest of it when we come back. Stay tuned.
A sprinkle a day helps keep the odor away.
A sprinkle a day helps keep odor away.
The baking soda does it. Shower-to-shower deodorant body powder is made with baking soda to help neutralize odor. Ordinary body powders don't have it.
A sprinkle a day helps keep the odor away.
Shower-to-shower deodorant body powder with baking soda.
Have you had your sprinkle today?
Introducing the amazing record vacuum by Ronco, the new stereo accessory that protects all your records. Simply insert your record into the record vacuum, turn it on, and your record rotates automatically, sweeping and vacuuming your records instantly, loosening deep damaging microdust particles, 33 1/3, 45, 78s, any size fit.
Available at Walgreen, Woolworth Wilco, Montgomery Ward, Osco, Turnstile, Venture, Goldblatts.
Rolo, 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 Rolo. You can roll a Rolo to your pal. It's chocolate covered caramel. Roll a Rolo to your gal. It's chocolate covered caramel.
Rolo, chewy caramel, and rich milk chocolate, all rolled together. That's Rolo.
You can roll a Rolo to your friend. It's chocolate covered caramel from end to end.
Hey, we're back. It's BK on the air here on AM 1450 and 100.3 FM WBHF. Let's continue on this day in history because we got a few more to go. 1985 on this day in history, Coca-Cola announced they're bringing back their 99-year-old formula. Yeah, there was a time where they gave up on the formula and changed it back in the 80s. And Alan and some of us really think, was it really a mistake, or was it just a huge publicity stunt on purpose to call attention to it and help, I guess, Coca-Cola's lagging sales at that time? Because, boy, it did that. It caused a backlash, and everybody demanded the original formula back, and classic Coke and all that stuff came back. 1989, Tales from the Crypt TV anthology debuts on HBO. There's a great show. I used to watch Tales from the Crypt when it was syndicated, and I didn't have HBO, and they syndicated it on other stations. Another one of those great anthology shows where it was a short story and it has a twist at the end.
A practical effect puppet?
It was. He was great. Yeah, the Crypt Keeper.
Yeah.
Actually, from an old Monsters Warren Publishing comic thing, horror comic back in the old days, Tales from the Crypt. They made a movie about it in the 70s from the studio that was in competition with Hammer Films called Amicus Films, and they made their own Tales from the Crypt movie that was 4 short stories. 1991 on this day in history, David Lynch's Twin Peaks final episode airs on ABC. There's a creative filmmaker that I never got into was David Lynch. I knew you mentioned Dune earlier, talking about Patrick Stewart. I never was into David Lynch's career. I mean, I know he made a lot of stuff, but I never really did get into a lot of his stuff. 770-386-1450 as our number. Someone's calling right now. Hello, it's BK on there. Hello.
Barry, 1983 was 30 years ago.
40 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You said 30.
Did I say 30? Well, I meant 40.
Yeah, you said 30, and it kind of freaked me out a little bit. Are you okay?
You started questioning your own math, didn't you?
Are you okay?
No. When am I ever okay?
Honestly, Eric, I was happy thinking it was only 30 years ago.
Yeah, we kind of said that to make ourselves feel better.
I know, I was too, and then I thought about it.
See, if you hadn't called and done and corrected us, you might have felt a little better about it. But now you just made us think it was 40 years ago all over again.
Barry, I have to face this.
That's great. You are facing it. I know that.
Leave me alone.
It's okay. Grecian formula's great.
Grecian formula's
it
your
looks
friend.
really good with your hair. Just use it.
Oh wait, no, just for men.
Just for men. Yeah, that works too. Yeah. That works on beards too, by the way.
No, I don't need that yet.
Have you seen your pictures?
Have you seen your videos on YouTube?
Look, there's nothing wrong with looking distinguished.
There isn't. Just hope we get there one day and look distinguished. It'd be nice.
This show anymore.
Okay. Thanks for calling me. Bye. So, okay.
If you look distinguished, could you try to act the part? I'm like, no.
No, that's a little too much. Don't
No.
you're looking the part
I
is
don't
enough.
wanna.
Another computer thing. Check this out. 1996 on this day in history, June the 10th. Intel releases its 200 megahertz Pentium chip on this day.
Pentium, I remember that.
Wow,
That was huge because
1996.
they started changing it instead of calling it by, because it was like 286, then 386, then 486. And like, what are they going to call the fifth one? They're going to go up 586? Like, oh, okay, you want to mock us? We're going to call it
That's why I bring these up. 'Cause
Pentium.
He remembers all of it. He's a computer guy. He can talk all of that. And when
think about it.
When that came out in 96, I had no idea what that meant. I'm like, oh, it's a computer. Okay.
It just, honestly,
no idea.
It literally was the 586, but they didn't want to keep doing that. They're like, well,
Sure, yeah.
So because it has 5 in it, they went with Pentium.
Right. Sometimes when and I know that you know all that because you used to put computers together and you know what it all means. But when they start, even today, when they start really talking about computer stuff, I hear the teacher from Charlie Brown. I hear, wah, 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 wah. I'm like, okay, does it work when I turn the on switch? That's all I care about. Does the program open that I double click? That's all I care about. 2003, the Spirit rover on this day in history is launched, beginning NASA's Mars Exploration Rover mission, which I thought was great. 2007 on television, The Sopranos series finale on HBO, the infamous cut to black ending that some people didn't care for and a lot of people didn't like it. And I thought, well, what else are they going to do?
Mm-hmm.
What else are they going to do? It just kind of cut to black and you wonder, well, did Tony get killed there, Soprano? What happened at the end?
Right.
I guess it was open for you to decide, because if there had been an actual ending where he got shot or survived and almost survived, went to the hospital, you still weren't going to please everybody. You're never going to please everybody.
No.
So that kind of ending, sometimes I think when I look back on it, works for everybody because no one's satisfied and everybody and no one is, it's a blanket thing,
Satisfied.
Some people are. I thought it was satisfying. What are you going to show? In 2013, Superman, the Man of Steel premiered on this day in history, June the 10th, with Henry Cavill. Birthdays on this day include Herbert Morse, that's Barry Morse, actor, British-Canadian actor. He was the guy who chased David Jensen on The Fugitive. He played Dr. Bergman on Space 1999, and he was also in the Winds of War miniseries with Robert Mitchum. Great actor, fantastic actor, died in 2008. Today is Judy Garland's birthday. She died in 1969, and today is also Elizabeth Hurley's birthday today. She is 58 years old. She's still married to
no, not to
Hugh Grant.
No,
not anymore. Okay. And when I saw the incident and the person he had the incident with, I'm like, dude, you're married to Elizabeth Hurley. What were you thinking?
I felt
don't
the
get
same
that.
way.
I don't get
now,
that.
I do understand, and the old adage is, you look at Hollywood people, they're all beautiful and perfect, but
Right.
they get divorced left and right because it doesn't matter how hot you are, you get sick and tired of
That's
somebody's
true.
nonsense.
That's what I heard.
But, I mean, you could have found someone.
Please.
At least in the same maybe upper echelon of the
Sure.
0 to 10 scale.
And somebody you don't have
You've
to-
got a 10.
Somebody you don't have to pay.
And you're like, well, I'm going
Or
to find a
something.
1 to see what that's like. No.
Whatever, Hugh.
And Hugh's a good actor. I love almost
He is
everything
pretty good
Hugh
and
Grant's
stuff.
in.
It's always National Something Day every day, and I try to pick out a few. I can't pick out all of them every day because sometimes there's a huge, gigantic list of national days. But today is, and my better half will love this, it's National Iced Tea Day today. And she loves sweet ice tea. Loves it. She likes a little tea with her sugar. Let's put it that way. And today is National Egg Roll Day. So get an egg and go out and roll it on the sidewalk or
Is
something.
that
I
what
think
that
that's a
means?
great day. Yeah, it says egg roll.
It says egg roll.
So get out and roll an egg. Just be careful. Don't break it. Because as Vincent says in The Black Hole, you cannot unscramble eggs. So yeah.
Is this
egg
where we
roll.
go to the hibachi restaurant and they all do the same joke? Look, egg roll.
Egg roll. And I'm
They
like,
spin the egg.
that
and
was funny maybe the second time I saw
Yeah.
it. And then the what is it, the onion volcano? They put all the onions
I didn't
up,
realize
stack
there was
them up.
one act somebody came up with, and that's it. There's only one
And
act.
it's spread all
and
over to
everyone
them.
does the same act.
What we don't know is there's this manual that they all have. They all have a part. They're a part of the group. They're like, sign this. You must do every one of these every time to be a part of this society. The Hibachi Grill Chef Society. It's like the Illuminati of the thing. Go by this or you're out of it.
They don't teach them how to cook. They teach them how to do the tricks. The cooking, you just hope you know how to do.
Do the train, the little train thing. Woo, woo, pushing the onion with it that's on fire, smoking. Push the onion on by. But, I'd forgotten about, did I close it? I was going to play it. Tales from the Crypt. Did you ever watch the TV show Tales from the Crypt?
No, I never had HBO.
You never had HBO, so you've never seen it. Well, good. Then I can spring this on you. I'm going to play the theme to Tales from the Crypt from HBO. And you listen to the theme and see if you can tell me who wrote it. Maybe you can tell. So there you go. There it is. You got to guess on who writes that.
This is Treehouse of Horror from Simpsons.
Well, it's Tales from the Crypt, but
then it would be the same guy that created it, Danny Elfman.
That's right. That's Danny Elfman.
Danny Elfman, for so long, you just knew it was a Danny Elfman soundtrack.
Oh yeah, for sure.
He had his own. Now he's gotten much wider in his abilities, but
he always managed to sneak in. The only way I could explain it is he sneaks in this kind of a circus sound.
Yeah.
Very he always puts Pee-wee circusy sounding goofy stuff in there somewhere. That little stuff, which is always you expect that from Danny for a while, and you really did. Then do you remember Darkman, Sam Raimi's movie with Liam Neeson?
Loved Darkman.
That sounded very much like Batman because it was Danny Elfman as well. But
he did the original Flash TV show.
He did. Did you like Darkman?
Loved it.
You won't believe the people I've run into that hated Darkman. They did.
It was so
My
ahead
wife
of its
cannot
time.
stand that movie. She can't stand it.
Well, the thing is, and I have friends of mine that would make fun of it. Like, how does he pronounce like words when he has no lips? I'm like, well,
that's when you go, I gotta get new friends.
I'm like, I get it.
It's a movie.
Well, it was like The Phantom was great.
Oh, The Phantom was fantastic, but it flopped.
It was
and nobody
ahead of
liked
its
it.
like all those comic book movies were so ahead of its time.
So you don't have a problem. You have a problem with him pronouncing his words because he doesn't have lips, but you don't have a problem with the aspect that he can't feel any pain from the thing that's happened to him. You can accept that in the story, but you just can't accept this one little thing that's in there. That was like watching Space 1999 back in the day when I watched it, and I had a science fiction fan that loved Doctor Who. Look at me and he says, "Oh, so Maya in Space 1999, she's the alien that's with them. Well, she can change shape into any living creature. She's a metamorph, and she can turn into anything that's living." He goes, "Oh, really? I didn't really like that show because when she would turn into something, every time she'd turn into someone else, the clothes changed too. How does she do that?" I'm like, that's the only problem you have with her changing into another life form, really? And you watch a show about a guy who has a phone booth that time travels in the phone booth. Let's explain one or the other here and see which one is more. Oh, well, they explain that in the show. I'm like, well, that's fine. It's sci-fi, dude. Just lighten up.
Right.
Lighten up. It's fun.
Lighten up, Francis.
I haven't lightened up, Francis. It's a good show, and I like stuff like that. 770-386-1450 if you want to call me and check in about anything that we're talking about, or like Eric did, to call in to correct me about how many years ago something was, because I do, unlike other people, I mess up on the air sometimes, and you can tell me about
so much worse now, though, that Eric
corrected
us.
Yeah, I know. I wish he kind of hadn't done that, but part of me
I
wish
liked
he had.
thinking it was only 30 years ago.
Part of me is glad he did, and part of me is glad that he didn't, so that wished he wouldn't have. Yeah. I don't even have time to get into the story. You know that they're doing a Barbie movie with Margot Robbie? Mm-hmm. And I think that sounds cool. Margot Robbie is playing Barbie. I have a story here from Fox News.
Who's the guy that's playing Ken?
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe the cast is listed in this story, but apparently they needed so much pink paint to film this film that, well, just wait. I'll tell you when we come back what happened that they needed so much. We got that and one more. What else I got coming up before the show? Poseidon's Fury, an experience at Universal. I hinted on it last week, but I can talk about it. It's already closed, and I don't know what they're going to put there, but they're speculating. And a lot of other things coming up. It's BK on the air here. We're going up until noon. It's BK on the air. More retro when we come back.
It wasn't easy getting this crew to try a caffeine-free cola. They didn't want to give up taste, and they didn't with new Pepsi Free. Leave it to Pepsi to make caffeine-free cola taste this terrific. Pepsi Free. There's regular and sugar-free with 1 calorie. I knew they'd like it.
The taste is positively Pepsi and it's caffeine-free. Positive. Freakies, we are the Freakies, and this is our Freaky Street. We never miss a meal, cause we love our cereals. This is the big boss, we call him Boss Moss. Make sure you spell it right.
Snorkeled off, they call me so handsome and pretty.
He's little Hambos.
He's got a weird nose.
Do I really have to sing?
My name is Grumble.
I am Kamumble.
You're standing on my foot.
Gargoyle is his name.
Now this is my game. I know more than you do.
Says you.
And don't forget me, I'm goody-goody. I always do what's right. For instance, I eat freaky cereal because it's got a lot of vitamins and it's good for me.
You too can have crunchy, freaky cereal as part of your good breakfast. And there's a free freaky in specially marked boxes. Okay, here comes the big finish.
We are the Freakies. We are the Freakies. This is the Freaky Street.
Harumph, 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 harumph. I didn't get a harumph out of that guy.
Give the governor harumph.
Harumph? You watch your ass.
You're listening to BK on the Air. This is Mrs. BK, and I'm not listening now because, well, I sleep in every Saturday morning. But I'll catch him later on the BK Escape Pod podcast. Now, back to that man of mine, BK on the Air. Mwah.
Groovy.
Delicious.
And dangerous. First, never touch any appliance without a parent's supervision, and always be careful with kitchen appliances. Keep their cords out of your way and your fingers out of their way. Also, always turn pot handles in, away from the edge of the stove.
So nobody bumps into them and gets hurt.
Now you're cooking.
Nothing like Superman helping you cook in the kitchen there from Super Friends.
Because I do a lot of the cooking. Every single time I have a pot there, I always remind myself, turn the handle sideways.
That's right. And everything he said was true. That you can make fun of that all you want, but it's all right, you know. Especially if you got, and I've always heard there's always a difference, you know, be careful if you got a stove with electric eyes or flame stoves. I mean, everybody knows the flame stove is better for cooking. You can control
100%.
the cooking, but sometimes people don't always do that. Hey, we're back. It's BK on the air here on WBHF. If you want to give me a call, 770-386-1450 is our number. Somebody's on the line now. Let's find out who it is. Hey, it's BK on the air. Hello.
Hello.
Hey.
You were talking about Barry Morse's birthday a little moment ago.
I think I was. Yeah.
I've got a question for you.
Okay.
Okay, as you know, there were cast changes between seasons 1 and 2 of Space 1999, and all of a sudden, Barry Morse's Professor Victor Bergman was not in the show. She was replaced by Maya as the resident Spock on that show.
Yeah, and Barry Morse was kind of the Spock of the first season. He wasn't quite as stoic as Maya, but Maya had a little sense of humor, too, on season 2, yeah.
That's right. Well, but the thing is, on screen, we never learned what happened to him. He was just gone. But in the books and comic books, it was written, actually explained what happened to him, and there were two explanations. One, his spacesuit had malfunctioned when he was on a space flight.
Right.
And two, that his mechanical heart failed. So my question is, which of those two explanations is most reasonable to you?
Well, I mean, I could take either one because they did establish he had an artificial heart and got shocked in one of the episodes and it knocked him out or whatever. So I could think either one. I just think it's interesting that they didn't address it. I mean, even Paul, that played by Prentice Hancock, it wasn't explained where he wound up, or Kano, the other science computer guy that was on Command Center with them. They just that was one of those things where they take season 2 kind of like Buck Rogers. When producers come in and go, let's just revamp the whole show for season 2 and don't explain a darn thing about anything where anybody went. Season 2, they never let you know in Buck Rogers where Dr. Hewer went, and he was one of my favorite characters by Tim O'Connor was great as Dr. Hewer.
Absolutely. I thought the mechanical heart failing was a more reasonable explanation. About Liz Hurley, why wasn't she ever a Bond girl?
I don't know, but she was an Austin Powers girl. That didn't really make up for it, but she was in a parody of it, yeah. She could have been.
Well, y'all have a great rest of the show.
Bye.
All right, bye.
Yeah, I don't like it when they just don't explain stuff on shows like that.
So good looking in
She was,
Austin Powers.
Did you see her, though, in a movie with Brendan Fraser called Bedazzled? Did you ever see that?
Oh,
the comedy where she plays the devil.
The devil, yeah.
And she's granting him all these things and stuff, and she's really good in that, too. I mean, she's really good in a lot. But yeah, Austin Powers, I mean, there's no doubt that she's eye candy and pretty to look at. That's for sure. And the accent just kind of puts the cherry on top of the sundae. She's really great. Again, I ask Hugh Grant, what were you thinking?
I could just be like, look, Liz, I understand. I'm married. You're remarried.
Oh, now easy. Wait a minute.
Can I just close my eyes and you just tell me a bedtime story?
Can you read me the phone book? I don't care. Read me the phone book. I teased this before we went to a break. There's a Barbie movie in the making about the Mattel doll Barbie. I think it stars Margot Robbie. Yeah, it does. And I teased something. The Barbie movie needed so much pink paint. Here's the headline. It caused an international shortage. Believe it or not. A lot of hype is building. This is from Fox TV for the Barbie movie, which hits theaters nationwide on July the 21st, which is not too far away. The new live-action film stars Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling. That's who's Ken. I forgot. Yeah, you're right. Ryan Gosling. Plenty of time and effort has gone into producing the film, particularly with the set design. Barbie director Greta Gerwig said Architectural Digest said it to them that the vision of the Barbie world was inspired by mid-century designs in Palm Springs, California, and the iconic Barbie dream houses. For assistance with the construction of the set, Gerwig tapped production designer Sarah Greenwood and set director Katie Spencer, the duo behind the design for the film Pride and Prejudice, according to Architectural Digest. Interesting movie to go from Pride and Prejudice to Barbie. Gerwig told the Design magazine that everything had to be pink, and she wanted to capture what made her love Barbie as a kid. A crew based at the Warner Brothers studio lot near London constructed a 3-story pink dream house with a slide that leads to a kidney-shaped pool. Greenwood shared with Architectural Digest that so much pink paint used for the set caused an international shortage. Gerwig told the magazine that it was a requirement for everything in the Barbie world to be pink to maintain what she called the kidness of it all. A Barbie teaser trailer dropped in this past April, and generated tons of excitement and memes for the fans. An official trailer was released last week, as of today, and shared more of the story. In the film, Barbie becomes more self-aware and goes through somewhat of an existential crisis.
Existential?
Yes. It's easy for you to say, or me to say. Ken and then accompanies her into the real world. Mattel also got in on the Barbie movie buzz with the release of a new line of dolls inspired by the movie. The Barbie movie dolls line features styles fans will see in the film, reflecting the signature styles of Barbie, Ken, and new characters as they traverse through Barbie Land and beyond, according to Mattel. So there you go. So it's all up in the air whether that's going to be a hit or not, but apparently they use so much pink paint. I guess I could understand if they caused a shortage in England, but it says a worldwide shortage. Is that what it said, or did it say international shortage? What did that mean?
Well, I would argue that those would be synonymous.
International,
worldwide and international.
International, yeah, I guess it would be.
The trailer looks amazing, and
really
I
does.
hear a
Looks
lot
stunning.
of people saying that's the kind of original. Yeah, it's based off of a world. We know
Right.
Barbie, but they're like, that's something that we can maybe go to, and it's not a rehash. It's not a Marvel cinematic movie. It's not
Right.
a DC. It looks like a fun.
Because we haven't seen a Barbie movie like this before, so it's kind of fresh and new and
I
pink.
think
Pink.
what's funny is like in the trailer, like when she steps out of her shoes
Yeah.
and her feet are still, because
Right.
they still like she's wearing
I know,
invisible
she
high
can't
heels,
flatten them out.
but then all of a sudden she falls
And you're like,
flat-footed,
wait.
and she goes all over her friends. She goes, something's wrong. Look at my feet, and they're like, ah. I like that.
You know what that reminds me of? It reminds me of the Brady Bunch movie. Because in the Brady Bunch movie, they decided to make the Bradys still stuck in the 70s, even in the world of the 90s.
Uh-huh.
And that was the funny part of the film. But what's funny was the Brady Bunch movie wound up not making fun of them so much as making fun of how it was in the 90s is
Right.
what it did. And it kind of turned the tables, and I thought that was kind of interesting. Hey, kind of like Elizabeth Hurley, who was married to Hugh Grant that we were talking about. I can watch Margot Robbie for a long period of time. I don't have a problem with that. She's
Margot
great.
Robbie's
She's a good
easy on
actress.
the eyes.
She's a really good actress too.
She can do that. She can do that like fake smile for
Yeah.
everything. Like she brought to
Yeah.
what
That
was the
fake
character?
smile.
What was that character that she did with the Joker's girlfriend?
Oh, Harley Quinn.
Harley Quinn.
Yeah, she was great as that. She was one of the better parts about Suicide Squad.
Even the remake that James Gunn wrote, she was the best part about
which
it.
I still haven't seen yet. I have not watched that.
I wanted it
sequel
to be so much
or whatever it
better.
Is it just at least a tiny bit better than the first one? It has
I
to
could
be.
finish it as opposed to the
you
first
sat
one. I
and watched
just
the
couldn't.
whole film.
I
Isn't
could-
Killer Croc in that? The crocodile guy? No, it's the
No,
shark
it's the
guy
shark
with Sylvester
guy.
Stallone.
Yeah.
He's in it.
Yeah,
and
he-
Stallone does his his voice. Yeah, okay. Well, yeah, and again, another movie on the horizon is Barbie, and I'd forgotten all about that. The summer movie season has started. I have this story too. And Alan and I talk about. I'm a frequent visitor of the Universal Studios in Florida. I've only been to the one in Orlando. I've never been to Universal Studios in Hollywood. It's really nice out there too. But one of the experiences, it wasn't really a ride, but there was an experience presentation show kind of a thing. It was kind of what you walked into to cool off after being there at a long hot day at Universal. Poseidon's Fury closed a few weeks ago. It was located at the Lost Continents section of the Islands of Adventure. It opened in 1999. I thought it opened way before that, but they closed its doors, and it's gone. And they say that they don't know what they're going to replace it with yet, but I've heard talk that it's going to be an expansion of the Harry Potter world, since it's right beside Harry Potter, and they can easily take that over into a Harry Potter thing. And I've also heard talk that it might be a Chamber of Secrets type experience thing, like with the basilisk and under Hogwarts and stuff.
I told you,
caverns and stuff.
One of the buddies that is a board op and an executive producer at WSB had just come back, and he said that's the rumor.
That's right. Speak on there. We'll be back.
In the valley of the jolly, ho, 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 Green Giant.
Every year at the Valley Fair, they judge Green Giant Niblets corn against all comers, and Niblets corn always wins
the green ribbon.
The judge explains an ordinary can of corn has lots of water. To keep his Niblets corn crisper, the Giant gives you just as much corn, but almost no water. Then it's vacuum packed. Niblets brand corn is the Giant's own special kind, grown to be sweeter. For the crispest, freshest tasting corn, try Green Giant Niblets corn. The Giant's green beans win first prize too. They're crisp young beans, sliced at an angle for more fresh bean flavor. Try Kitchen Slice brand diagonal cut green beans.
Good things from the garden, garden in the valley, valley of the jolly, ho, 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 Green Giant.
Here's something even more fun than a Valley Fair. A soft, huggable Green Giant rag doll. He's 16 inches tall by the ruler, about a good squeeze wide, and you can have him for your very own. Just save 3 labels or frozen package fronts from you-know-who's vegetables and mail with 50 cents and your name and address to Green Giant, LeSueur, Minnesota. Details are in this week's TV Guide or Sunday Comics. Send for your Green Giant rag doll today.
Quiet!
I'm me, Fruit Brute, with my fruit-flavored cereal, Fruit Brute, part of your nutritious breakfast.
Fool on you!
But delicious Fruit Brute has fruit-flavored marshmallows for the howling good taste of fruit.
Count Chocula's got chocolate marshmallows.
Frankenberry's got strawberry-flavored marshmallows.
Fruit Brute, with the howling good taste of fruit.
No one knows more about pure, safe, and nutritious baby food than Gerber. To learn why 4 out of 5 pediatricians who recommend baby food recommend Gerber, call us anytime. You know you can trust Gerber.
Calling all babies. Look out. I got a Gerber story here. You may have seen this somewhere out on the internet because it's been out there everywhere. This actually comes from Fox 5 Atlanta, right here from our own backyard. The search for the 2023 Gerber baby with $25,000 prize is now underway, and you don't have long left to do it. Gerber has officially launched its annual Gerber Baby Contest. The company on, I think it was last Wednesday, that they said it put out the open call for entries in the contest, which began in 2010. This year, Gerber is also inviting parents to share their own childhood photos as a throwback to their Gerber baby days, it says. Along with photos of their little ones. Specifically, the judges are looking for, quote, cute baby photos of both parent and baby, unquote, Gerber said. The grand prize winner will become the 2023 Gerber baby, serving as the chief growing officer and be featured on Gerber's social media accounts and marketing campaigns throughout the year. They'll also receive $25,000 cash, prize, a new wardrobe from Gerber's children's wear, a year's supply of Gerber baby food, and more. I don't know what the more is. Maybe some diapers, too, to take care of what Gerber they eat. For the contest's 13-year anniversary, Gerber said it will make a matching monetary donation of the winning baby's cash prize to support the nonprofit March of Dimes and its maternal and infant health programs. Now, here's how to enter the 2023 Gerber Baby Contest. Now, I don't think you're gonna. I don't know if they're gonna put a photo of your baby on the little jar like they used to, or replace the one that's already on there. It just said it was going to do all that other stuff. I guess that's to be announced, or whether they're going to do that. Whether a baby looks like their parent as a baby, or the parent just has a funny throwback image, Gerber says it wants to see all and learn about the family's story. Parents or legal guardians can submit their throwback photo, get this, and receive a recent photo of their baby through here's when it's over, today, June the 10th at 11:59 p.m. So you have until 1 minute before midnight tonight, Eastern time, on Gerber's website for a chance to have their child serve as the 2023 Gerber baby. The baby needs to be between the ages of newborn and 48 months old. So go to Gerber.com to find out all the whys and the wherefores. So there you go. They noticed how baby photos should have clear lighting, no filters. Don't make your baby all filtered up like they're on the cover of a fashion magazine. And the child should be in a safe environment and fully clothed, by the way. And just like Georgia driver's license photos. Like we had that story about taking nude photos for Georgia driver's license. The photo must be taken within the entry period as well. So there you go. There's how you can possibly get your baby to be the Gerber baby. Some people were cute babies and not so cute now, and some people were darn ugly babies but turned out to be really cute. Which were you, Alan?
Oh, if you'd see me, you were like, that is one fat, ugly baby.
So you thought you were a fat, ugly baby. And
well,
then
I was.
Turned into what's in front of me now.
Short, ugly baby.
It's not.
I
had
tell
pretty
you,
good baby pictures, I'll admit.
And this is because they didn't know as well about the timing. And
Right.
like they should have induced with my mom probably 2 weeks before. I was way late.
Right. Isn't there a Benny Hill story about somebody being induced?
That was my brother.
Your brother,
Philip.
that's right. I remember that.
Benny Hill induced labor.
Benny Hill, your mom watched Benny
but
Hill.
no, I was so fat. Like you know how babies' heads like roll all over because there's no
most
muscle.
when
like,
babies are fat, they're supposed to be. Yeah,
I had
that's right,
the built-in like the Brady Bunch like neck brace.
You had the rolls on your ankles and
was-
wrists and stuff.
I look like those Shar-Pei puppies or whatever. I had so many folds.
Alan
and
was a little
creases.
Buddha baby.
Oh yeah, you could have rubbed my belly. Like, can I make a wish?
Well, some people could do that now. You wouldn't care.
So that just goes to show you I was a fat baby, and so far, knock on wood, I haven't had to really deal too much with. I just watch what I eat. But
I noticed you getting a little paunch down there, and you getting the daddy.
that's
gut
actually
on
gone
you.
away. I got rid of a little bit.
Yeah,
of that.
I still see a little bit of
I
it.
dropped when I started doing the work in my backyard. I dropped like 10 pounds, dude.
Well, that'll do it. That will do it.
My wife was like, "I don't want you to ever say that because I get so angry." I'm like, I would just skip a meal.
I do that too. If I ever want to lose weight, I can lose it pretty fast. And Stacy goes, I can't stand that. How quick you guys can lose weight. I'm like, I'm sorry. It's just it's genetics.
I don't know why it's built that way.
Aren't males and females different? I think
No,
they are.
we're the same.
We're not anymore from what I
I
hear.
think you should go back and say, well, I don't know what your problem is. We're the same.
Yeah.
Must be you.
We can lose weight the same.
No,
right?
I think what I do is, and it's a bad. I'm not in any way suggesting this is a good weight loss technique.
Right.
Although a lot of people love the intermittent fasting.
Yeah.
I'll get so focused on a project, I'll skip a meal. I'll just I may
I've
eat a
done
little
that,
breakfast, and then next thing I know, it's like 8 o'clock at night, and I'll eat dinner.
Yeah.
So when you eliminate a third of the calories you eat in a day, you can lose weight.
Yeah. Problem is when I skip a meal for that reason, I'll eat. If I skip lunch, I'll eat dinner.
Right.
If I'm like, I skipped a meal, I'll eat again at 10:30, just to make up for it. I know that's bad. I shouldn't do that, but
the
I
other thing that
usually do
happens
that.
is if you do a lot of physical work, your body wants to eat twice as much to make up for
Sure it does.
And
And
you have
drink
to be
in
careful.
liquids.
Oh yeah, the liquids. big
Liquids are
time.
good. Yeah, water. Not just any liquid.
Well,
not any
I
kind
wait
of
till
liquid
I'm done.
type.
I'm working with saws
Not
and
li-
things. I'm smart enough to go. I'm drinking just water.
How did the saw get embedded in the ceiling? I don't remember that.
I'm more worried about how did my fingers end up on the other side of the saw.
How did that happen? What are those 22 beer cans doing up in a corner? Well, I got a story here. This is kind of cool. I'll sneak this in. It's kind of local Atlanta stuff, but we have a lot of movies production in Atlanta now and in Georgia, and we're very proud of it. We like that we're like the kind of newest Hollywood kids on the block. We think it's really cool when movies film here. I have this story. Electric Owl Studio has opened, and they opened on June the 8th here in Atlanta. It continues to steady expansion in content production with the launch of the new production hub at Electric Owl Studios. The new complex is a purpose-built film and television studio located here near us in DeKalb County, just south of us. South of Decatur is actually where it is, co-founded by former Third Rail Studio executives Dan Rosenfeld and Michael Hahn. And I know where Third Rail Studios is down there in Doraville, near where the old GM plant used to be. That's where they're located, I think. The pair had previously worked together at Third Rail Studios in Doraville as a part of the former General Motors site. That's what it said. I just got ahead of myself. That studio was sold earlier this year to Atlanta-based Gray Television, which is building a much bigger studio and TV film movie studio there, along with apartments, townhomes, a hotel, corporate offices, restaurants, and retail space. I don't know the last time you went by there on 285, but where that GM plant used to sit, it's just becoming the biggest complex thing like that they're turning it into, and it's fantastic. With 6 purpose-built sound stages and expansive section and parking spaces, the studio is large enough to support a tentpole feature film or 2 simultaneous large-scale television series. So it can accommodate quite a bit. The new studio, which is a 312,000-foot production facility, will create jobs. This is the good part about it that I love. Create jobs and further support the entertainment industry annual $4 billion spend in Georgia.
Isn't that great?
So there you go. I mean, I love it that when we become the place where people come to film here in Georgia. We've got everything to offer them. We have the mountainous terrain. We have the city of Atlanta, which can step in as like Philadelphia or New York or be whatever you need to be of a big city, and maybe digitally manipulate the background a little bit just to change it or whatever. Shazam! Fury of the Gods, which I just watched, was filmed in Atlanta. I was picking out spots and buildings downtown that I recognize as Atlanta, but it doesn't take place in Atlanta. But we've really got a lot here to offer, and I think it's great. I think it all started, and I'm so glad he's no longer with us, and we remember him well. But I think it all started with Burt Reynolds. Burt started, he filmed here in Georgia with Deliverance, with director John Boorman, who directed Excalibur, by the way, directed Deliverance, and then Burt Reynolds, Smokey the Bandit was here, first Smokey and Bandit film. Then he brought he directed a film in '81 called Sharky's Machine, which was a great kind of a noir cop movie, kind of a throwback to the old Sam Spade thing. The Peachtree Plaza Hotel, which is now the Westin, it's that big building in Atlanta. It looks like a Coke can. It's really tall and slender. It was like a character in the film Sharky's Machine. I think it was stuntman Dar Robinson, who's no longer with us, stood in for Henry Silva, and when Burt Reynolds shot the bad guy at the end and blew him out the window, he fell out of one of the tallest floors of the Peachtree Plaza and fell, and it was one of the biggest falls in stuntman history at the time. I think it was really great.
Yeah.
So that was there. That happened. Then after that, count how many things have come to Atlanta to film now. I mean, we're happening. It's great.
And it's not just the big movies. It's a lot of cable television productions, a lot of the streaming productions.
What's the one that's filmed up around Canton and near Lake
Ozark? Yeah.
With what's the guy's
Jason
name?
Bateman.
Jason Bateman. I haven't seen that, but I heard that it's filmed up there a lot. So yeah, we're all over the place.
Oh, what's her name? Oh, the place's wife.
She's Helen Hunt.
No, it's not Helen Hunt.
I can picture her. I can see who she is in my mind.
Yeah, I'm going to have to look it up. But it's actually a real. That's one of the series. I didn't even watch it all the way to the end, but. You get so used to formulas. You're like, oh, here's what's going to happen.
Right.
Oh, that show has you so guessing. You think you know what's coming, and they always pull the rug out from under you.
Really?
And not just like trick. Like it's legit. Oh, yeah. It's just you're so used to formulas, you just assume, oh, here's where the mafia guy is going to do this,
right.
And then they do something completely different. Or oh, here's where the hero's going. You do that a lot. You go,
that's what we're thinking watching the show Citadel that we're watching right now on Amazon Prime. It stars the guy who played the guy in the Eternals and played Stark's son, and you know who I'm talking about, the guy who played Robb Stark in Game of Thrones, the elder Stark son in Game of Thrones, and he played Icarus in the Eternals.
In the Eternals,
he's the main spy character in it. But he's playing an American though, and it's a very well done kind of a spy show called Citadel. Stanley Tucci's in it, and they play he's like M. The boss, but they're not part of M or the Secret Service or CIA or anything. They're a more covert operation than even they are. They watch over all the other ones and stuff. And it's an interesting yet strangely show where you're like, oh, I feel a little paranoid watching this show. Could this really, is this maybe going on? Who knows?
Right.
But these guys' imaginations that make these shows are great. And it's a great show.
It's not Helen. I was thinking, for some reason, I was thinking
Who is
Helen
it?
Linney. It's Laura Linney.
Laura Linney. So I remember who that is, yeah. I can't remember the last thing I saw. Wasn't she in Congo? The Frank Marshall movie about the apes, the intelligent apes that they...
I don't know. It's been a long time. Wasn't that based on a Michael Crichton story?
Yeah, Congo. I need to look that up before we end this show here.
Oh, no.
Congo. Can I do it before I end the show? I don't know if I got time. It's not pulling up. Oh, no.
Laura Linney and Tim Curry, Congo.
So that is her. You were quicker on the phone over there than I was over here because I had to turn
Got to work
around.
fast.
And I don't do that. I get told
we'll
that
just
at
have to
home all the time.
Oh, well, maybe next week.
Hurry up. We won't be here next week.
We won't be here.
There's a reason for that. We'll tell you when we get back. It's BK on the Air. It's a crappy reason.